Creatively, it comes in many different waves. I think as artists, we're creators by just nature. We can see certain things go on in the world, and you just pay attention to what the industry is doing. I'm always not necessarily going to go different, but I kind of not want to be what the status quo is.
We are creative, we are constructive, we are imaginative, we are exploring, we are creative solutions. Hi, and welcome to the Creative Solutions Podcast. I'm your host, Isolde Trachtenberg. On the show, you'll hear interviews with innovative creative artists, entrepreneurs, business executives, and thought leaders. You'll have a front row seat as they explore their internal, uncharted waters about what inspires them to grow, achieve, and innovate. Get their insights and realizations as I tease out answers to questions they've never pondered before. You'll also learn how to supercharge your innovative drive, mindfulness, and communication skills so you can succeed. This episode is brought to you by my favorite productivity hack, the Brain FM app, this podcast's host, Podbean, as well as my book, Speak From Within, Engage, Inspire, and Motivate Any Audience. Hey there, and welcome to the Creative Solutions Podcast. I'm your host, Isolde Trachtenberg. Super grateful that you've taken the time to be here and to listen. And I'm super grateful and honored to bring you this week's guest. Let me tell you about Kenny J. Kenny J's single, You're a Woman, sets out to inspire all women and girls around the world to let them know that they deserve to be heard and loved correctly. It shouldn't take a day or a month to have a woman feel empowered. They should feel this all the time in every aspect of their lives, whether it's love, family, or business. Women deserve more credit than they are given, and Kenny is hoping this song gives them a bit of hope. Kenny, thank you so much for being on the show. Welcome.
Thank you, Miss Oda. I appreciate it so much for you getting me. I'm just going to see that name right. Isolde. I
Isolde,
appreciate
I
it.
know. It's one of those names that you kind of go, say what? What was that?
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
I was just telling somebody on another podcast interview I was doing earlier this morning
Mhm.
that I've gotten mail for Griselda Dragon Burp. It literally
Wow.
gotten mail for that. So yeah, it's one of those things where I've gotten used to it. Over time, people are just gonna have trouble with my name.
Yeah, it's fine. It's a beautiful name. Beautiful name. It's cool.
You're very sweet. Thank you for saying that. So let's jump on in.
Yes.
One of the things that I am curious about
Mhm.
with you putting this song out, you put it out and it released on the International Day of the Woman on March 8th.
Mhm.
And you're trying to inspire women around the world to convey this message of empowerment and love. I would love to know from you, just let's jump on in. What inspired you to create this particular song? And what message do you hope listeners, women and men and others, take away from it?
The inspiration behind the song is simply wanting to be a part of positivity. Early part of 2022 or 2023, I wrote a song called "Love Is All We Need." In all of that series of different music that I was creating or am creating, speaks directly to an audience that's helping create some change.
Mhm.
Um, "Love Is All We Need" was creating a perspective that hopefully helps, that we treat everybody the same, no matter how they look, no matter what color they are, what their sexual preference is, whatever the case may be. It
Mhm.
is kind of showing love in so many different diameters, so we could kind of be a part of some solutions instead of being so judgmental and so against everything.
Mm.
As an artist, sometimes in the music business, the promotion in uh the disrespectful visuals I see of women was bothersome to me.
Mm.
And I wanted as an artist to be a part of, again, creating change, creating a perspective that women understand that it is not okay that they're put in the forefronts of anything and disrespecting them. So, as an artist, I wanted to be, or just shake up the can, if you will, so I could kind of shed some light on it and kind of put a man's perspective on it, so I could create some change, create a conversation, that we be a part of making a woman know how valuable she is. I wanted to empower women. And trust me, during that whole writing process, I wasn't going to be the one that sang the song. It was going to be a woman that sang it. So
Hmm.
as time went on, we did some thinking. I was thinking about it. I said, well, why not sing the song? And it generated conversation, and it generated curiosity. And I was like, man, what would happen if I do put a song out that a man says, "Woman, we are empowering you. You are great. Thank you for all that you do." And it was just an idea to be a part of a part of the solution instead of the problem. So
I love that you said that last thing, that you want to be part of the solution instead of part of the problem.
right.
Can you talk a little bit about that aspect of it? Because
Mm,
you're standing in the face
mm,
of a lot of worldwide sexism and
mhm.
misogyny, and yet you're standing up and going, not this man. Can you talk a little bit about what that means to you to be a man in this landscape,
Yeah.
focusing on empowering women in this way?
Yeah, so I have children, and I think as parents we have to be responsible, even if we're artists, even if we're in the industry, putting music out, that we are examples to our children. I have females, I have girls, I have two girls, and I have a boy, and I want to make sure that they understand that when men, just to say it this way, you want as a parent for your children to be in healthy relationships. Healthy relationships, um, a man is going to have to make sure that that woman knows she's the best thing in the world. And as a man, in my son's perspective, he has to see that perspective go out. I lost my wife in 2023.
Oh, I'm
Not
so
that
sorry.
I thank you. Not that that is the reason I wrote the song, but I just kind of wanted to be a good the good essence of it. You know, she was a phenomenal woman, and she's passed away due to some health issues. And I'm a positive guy. I just wanted to keep that perspective going, and just honor that essence and make sure the world knows that I respect women. Not that I was ever disrespectful to that high level. I just think kind of all of that kind of encompassing with the artistry, and just wanting to be a part of something greater than just kind of being a part of what's out there, which I don't think is, helping the situation. I just wanted to be a part of the solution. So just kind of covers a whole bunch of different things, whether it's my artistry, whether it's my parenting, whether it's my relationships, and whether at large, if a woman needs to hear that inspiration, that this is a man that's willing to stand there and tell them how wonderful they are. And that's the whole gist of it.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. And it is interesting to me. And I would love
Mhm.
to sort of talk a little bit about
Sure.
your process for writing it. In other
Right.
words, I'm a musician too. I've written
Mhm.
songs. You got inspired, you decided to write it. How did that happen? Was it the lyrics first? Was it the accompaniment? How did you put it all together in
Mhm.
order to create the song and release it?
Well, creatively, it comes in many different waves. I think as artists, we are creators by just nature. We can see certain things go on in the world, and you just pay attention to what the industry is doing. I'm
Mm,
always not necessarily going to go different, but I kind of not want to be what the status quo is. Because I'm so positive, because my perspective um, really exudes just positivity and all of that sort of stuff. I wanted to do something that was going to make an effect. I didn't even know it was going to be a woman song. I didn't know.
mm,
And when I sat down and I did music and I was writing the track, all I kept hearing in my spirit was "You're a woman." You're a woman, you're a woman.
mm.
And that's kind of what it built off of. And my spirit was saying it, the essence of me was talking it, and it just kind of just grew into what it was or what it is. So my process is, sometimes it happens with lyrics first, sometimes it happens with melody first, sometimes it's a beat, sometimes it's chord structure, sometimes it's a guitar lick, sometimes it's an idea but sometimes I can see something walking down the street. So it's a bunch of different ways that it happened, but this one just happens to be. I was just kind of, my spirit was saying, "You're a woman, you're a woman, you're a woman," and that's what it was born from.
I'm sorry, I'm taking a second because I believe in embracing the pause and I'm trying to
Yeah.
synthesize everything you just said.
Yes.
And I get it. I get that there's this, depending on the inspiration and how it
Hmm.
strikes, you're going to come from a lot of potentially
Hmm.
different perspectives.
Yes.
You, I'm doing my research.
Hmm.
You grew up in Englewood, New
Yes.
Jersey,
Yes.
and you had a pretty rich musical heritage, and you had
Hmm.
influences like Sylvia Robinson and Dizzy
Hmm.
Gillespie.
Hmm.
Within what inspires you today, how did the musical landscape of where you grew up, inside your family, and also in your town shape your own artistic journey and the themes that you want to explore in your music moving forward?
So many different things. Those people you've just mentioned were unique in their own right. They were a huge inspiration to where music is today, whether it be in hip hop or whether it be in jazz. Um, it's something, we had to be our own. We had to carve a way in the industry that was going to allow us to stand out. And you can't be like everybody else. I'm coming from that era where you could not have a sound like everybody else. And it's okay to be inspired by something, but to just take the sound and kind of mimic it. I'm not from that era.
Hmm.
Um, so it's important to me, coming from Inglewood, coming from right across the bridge, coming from very inspiring groups in the era, and everybody, very, very talented town, that I wanted to be unique. And with all of my musical genres that I had the pleasure of being a part of, all of that gospel, jazz, Latin, hip hop, R&B, um, and country, and on and on and on and on. It gives you a wider range of things that you can be a part of. And I am from that cloth where you should be able to sit in any environment and write a song. I don't care what genre you're writing for. I don't care, what community you're writing towards, or whatever the case may be. You should be able to sit in any area, in any room, and be able to write and be effective. And that's just where I'm from. And that's what that town and the essence of that town taught me, is to just be unique in that way.
I grew up right outside Detroit,
Hmm.
and uh, there's a lot of music there. And
Hmm.
yet, in my early years, a lot of my influence was from my mom, who's also I'm a singer. My mom is
Hmm.
also a singer. How much did your family play a role in your development as a musician
Hmm.
and in your development of your own creative process?
Yeah, my dad was a musician, and he was a phenomenal one at that. But he never really sat down to teach.
Mm,
He was more or less the person that was going to do. And if
hmm.
you're interested in it, you'll take the time to sit and listen. Um, it wasn't a push. It wasn't an encouragement. It was, if this is what you want to do, you're gonna have to sit down here and pay attention. So I spent a lot of time paying attention to exactly what he did as far as his musicality is concerned, and I've gleaned a lot from him. So many different people in church, so many different church settings, and you always listen to the producers, and that come around. But family, everybody in my family sang. If you could not sing, they would definitely let you know that that ain't what you're supposed to be doing. That is, and family, excuse me, family is in such a way where, if you're not doing too much of anything, they're not really going to really give you too much support. But I'm grateful, that I do have some sort of a sound, and they support for sure. My daughters are, dad can sing, and my daughters can sing. My son can sing if he'd ever, put forth some effort into it.
Mm.
Excuse me. They're just shy, and but as time goes on, they'll kind of get into it. But my family is great inspiration. They do support me, what I'm doing. So that's what that is.
I think that's great. And
Yeah.
it's funny because having my family come, I come from a singing culture. I
Hmm.
was born in another country, and that part of the world, everybody sings around the dinner table.
Hmm.
That's just what you do.
That's what you did. Yeah.
And we would sing folk songs, we would do whatever it was, but we would always, and my mom and I would sing in harmony and all of this stuff. But I never played an instrument. And well,
Hmm.
that's not true. I played the violin, but a
Right.
violin is not an instrument most people are going to use to accompany themselves singing. Usually
Right.
it'll be piano or guitar or something like
Hmm.
that. So I didn't grow up accompanying myself. What about
Hmm.
you? Did you play multiple instruments?
Hmm.
Did you have instruments to accompany yourself with? Or were you primarily a singer and a songwriter?
I started off with a guitar.
Mm,
Um, on the front row at the local church in New York City, in the
Mm.
Bronx, actually,
Mm-hmm.
where I just strummed the guitar, and that's where my musical prowess came from. Was that, and then I went to drums, and then I went to keyboard,
Wow.
and then I went to bass guitar, and then I went to so everything in my studio currently that I use for recording, I actually play the instrument.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so it was just a part of I wanted to be a part of everything. You know what I mean? So if somebody was on the drums, I wanted to be able to play the organ or the keyboard. If somebody was there, I wanted to play the guitar. If somebody was there, I wanted to play. So I never wanted to be in any session without doing anything. So if all of those instruments were taking up, I could grab the microphone and I could sing. So I just wanted to be a part of the process. And if someone was singing, I wanted to be on the mixing console or doing something. I had to do something in music. It was just a part of me that I could not stop. I just wanted to cover all aspects of it. So if I couldn't do one thing, I could do another. And I'm just grateful how that turned out. And in churches, from where I'm from culturally, there were a wall full of drummers,
Mm-hmm.
and everybody was waiting for their turn.
Mm.
Not so many organists and keyboard players. It kind of was like the hardest thing to kind of do. Bass players probably easier because it's just kind of one note at a time. But when you're talking about actually putting chord structure together, not too many people wanted to do that. I wanted to do everything. So I remember my first time playing an organ or keyboard. One of the organists at the church there, his name was Clifford Drayford, and I know people will probably know who that is. My first experience in that sort of setting, he was playing a song. I can't remember what the song was, but I was sitting there and I'm looking at what he's doing, and he just told me just press the C on it. He had the synthesizer there. He just said press the C. I just pressed the C, and the song went on. Of course, I'm going absolutely crazy because I'm just loving the sound that I was a part of, and
Mm.
that's just kind of in music. If you want to do it, it's not much push you need. You're gonna either do it or you're not, and
Right.
I just had to decide to want to do it.
Yeah, and it's so interesting to me how a lot of people don't realize that a lot of musicians are just happy to be, to quote Hamilton,
Hmm.
in the room
Hmm.
where it happens, to
That's
be
right.
part, whatever part you're in, whatever small part you play.
That's right.
It's just amazing to be part of that process. And for me personally, singing in harmony, a cappella harmony is the
Mm.
greatest thing ever, right? That
Oh
that to me
yes,
is the thing.
yes, ma'am.
And even though I love guitar and I love violin and I love and I'm
Mm.
teaching myself piano right now, even as we
Mm.
speak, I'm practicing at least 25 minutes a day.
Mm.
Singing in harmony is the greatest thing for me. For you
Yes, I
though,
agree.
you were a part of Riff and
Yes,
now you're a solo artist and you're
right.
producing, you're writing, you're doing your
Mm.
engineering.
Mm.
How do you do that? How do you navigate all of those roles and how do they contribute to your overall artistic expression?
Well, I answered the last part. It contributes to a point where it gives you a different visual of a certain sound or a different sound.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just open and I'm not so closed off to a particular sound. I love country music. I love the sound of it. You have no idea how much what you just said means the world to me because we get away from the acapella of it, and the true essence of where sound comes from. The voice and putting those things together, man, it's just a recipe for absolutely a great sound.
Mm-hmm.
All of those things contribute to just what it is for me. Like you said, I just have to be in the room. If it's in a listening capacity, if it's something that I can kind of contribute as far as, try this little note that could take you further along the line of the scale, something that's going to help acapellas and background singing. All of my records, I do all of my background singing for.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm able to kind of captivate all the voices and do what it is I do. It's so fulfilling to me, and I'm happy to be able to share it. Riff was a cappella group, from the Lean on Me movie, back in '89. They were the guys that were singing in the bathroom, an a cappella styled singing group. They could do a cappella. They could do with a full band. They could, virtually do anything. All of those experiences kind of contributed to me just opening my horizon to different things, which is absolutely something that I'm into, just kind of stirring up the pot a little bit and doing something a little different.
And isn't that interesting
Mhm.
how we have this To me, the voice is our first instrument, right? What the
Right.
way I put it I teach people how to sing, and I teach people how to
Mm,
sing in group settings. And
mm,
the way I put it to them is, what's the very first thing you do when you're born? You breathe. And what's the very
mm-hmm.
second thing you do? You make vocal
Make
sound. Usually
noises.
that's
That's
the
right.
so, so this is our birthright as far as I'm
Mm,
concerned. This is
mm,
something that we bring to everything. And I've had another hip hop artist, Odyssey, on the show, and we were talking
mm,
about how when he writes a lot of the stuff in the lyric aspect of what he's doing, he's going into, for example, internal rhyme, where you'll see the rhyme 10 lines later, you will finally see the rhyme for what he was talking about earlier and how
mm,
he was producing it.
mm,
You work across a lot of different genres, and you
mm,
do R&B, you do
mm,
gospel, Latin,
mm,
hip hop.
mm,
How do you work in all of those different styles, and how do you maintain your creativity? Like you said, you have
mm,
a unique sound. How do you
mm.
bring that unique sound to such a wide range of musical styles?
For me, I couldn't give you the recipe for it other than all of it is just a part of me. And I write out of those experiences and out of those sounds and out of those genres, and all of those are a part of me. Um, if I'm looking for a gospel feel, I know where to go emotionally to get that. If I'm looking for a salsa or sort of merengue or Latin sort of feel, I know where to get that from. If I'm looking for a certain jazz tone, I know where to get it from. R&B, all of them have their different nuances and they're different things that'll kind of immediately emote the feeling that you're giving. um I couldn't tell you exactly how it happens, but I know what everything is supposed to sound like as far as my interpretation is concerned.
Hmm.
um um in my writing process, it kind of shows me, it kind of walks me down the path on what that needs to sound like. I was always taught never just force a song to be written according to to anything other than wherever the song is going. So you have to start with a blank slate. If you're starting off with something, a rhythm that that has a Latin sort of feel, that's the direction of the song. And all of those things kind of put into one kind of gives me my sound. I don't even really know. I never really thought about it that much. I just kind of walked into it, and that's just what it is. So.
Yeah, it's always fascinating to me when I speak with musicians who can work in multiple genres, because uh there are musicians who are, I'm a classical musician and that's all I do, and
Mm,
I follow the sheet music and boom, that's what we're doing.
mm,
And one of my other guests on the show was Al Petaway, and he was fingerstyle guitarist, but he was also an amazing sideman. You could put
mm,
him in any band. He could play bass, he could play guitar, he could play Celtic
mm,
fingerstyle, he could play classical, didn't matter.
mm,
But what was interesting when he and I talked about this, and I told him, I asked him the same question. He said, "Well, I look for the heart of the song," and I
mm,
went, "Okay." And
mm.
so I'd love to ask you, as far as you're concerned, what is the heart of the song for you, as far as You're a Woman is concerned?
It's the heart of the song is the meaning behind it. Like, what is it actually saying? That to me is probably the most important thing about the piece, because you want to give the energy through the song, and it's going to be interpreted the way you write it, and the listener more or less has to feel that thing in their heart. It is what it's kind of giving. What is the song really saying? You're a woman. My prayer is that it catches the heart of the woman. The musicality of it and the mixing of it, all of that stuff plays a part of it, but the message of the song is going to me, emote the feeling that I'm looking for. Of course, the musicality makes a difference. Of course, the verses make a difference. All of it's kind of have to have the feeling that's going to emote the feeling that I want or need. You're a woman has the heart for me to change. For me, if I'm writing a song and it promotes change, that's the heart of the song. It has to emote the feeling that I'm looking for. You're a woman, hopefully, will grab the heart of the woman to encourage them and to just know that there is a man, if not many, I'm sure there's many other men that appreciates them. And my prayer is that that is the emotion that I give it, and give it, and that's the heart that I give it, that they take heart to it and be able to move and be prosperous and just know that they are empowered or should be empowered.
It's interesting. I'm listening to you and I'm kind of going, yeah, yes, yes, yes. So, which is great. And then I also want to say that one of the things that's profound to me about what you're saying is that I'm going to just say it. I'm going to probably be somebody's going to nail me to the wall for this, but I'm going to say it. Generally speaking, we're not going to find. You said yourself, they're out there. Men are out there who are interested and inspired and motivated to help empower women or to help women
Hmm.
empower themselves.
Hmm.
What is the message that you would want to give to men? I don't know
Hmm.
if there's a song in
Hmm.
there or what, but what is the message that you would give to men to perhaps help them see their role in helping women empower themselves?
I mean, it's okay. I said, so the message is very simple to me. Okay, so it's okay to let the harder exterior down, to encourage. You know, sometimes men feel like they have to have that hard exterior out all the time on display.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes, and most of the time, sometimes it is okay to encourage, and sometimes it may not be a space for a man to really express that. I wouldn't think that I'm kind of, going to be nailed to the cross, for that feeling, because I think it's important that men know it's okay to and love and appreciate their woman. And I'm not saying they do. To me, it's always perspective. How is it being seen?
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes people or men doesn't like to be seen as hard, or I'm sorry, not hard, as soft. But it is okay to do that. And if we're
Mm-hmm.
encouraging women, if we're encouraging, because we're the forefront, as I stated earlier. Men, if they have daughters, daughters are paying attention. That's the first men that a daughter will fall in love with. It's her dad. So you have to make sure that when you emote in these feelings, that you're able to have an effect on not only your wife or your girlfriend, but also your children.
Mm-hmm.
As your son looking at you and your daughter paying attention. So, it is okay. Men, it's okay. I'm not saying for you to walk around and be sad all the time and doing that. I'm just saying it's okay. It's actually okay for you to love your woman. Not that you need permission to, but I know and I understand that women need that. They love support, they love, they love hugs and kisses and encouragement. And I just wanted to help kind of promote that.
And it's so wonderful to hear you say that. And the thing that while you were talking that came into my head was, I would say to men, it's okay to feel your feelings, because
Yeah,
sometimes
absolutely.
I get the feeling men get the exact opposite message is that,
Mm-hmm.
whatever your feelings are, you have to bury them deep. And it
Mm-hmm.
seems to me with you're a woman, you're pretty out there,
Mm-hmm.
right? You're pretty out there with your own emotions, Kenny, and you're
Yeah.
and you're willing to do that, which takes a lot of courage as far as I'm concerned. But
Yeah.
not only are you out there with your own feelings about it,
Mm-hmm.
but to me, you're extending, you're a woman, and also Love Is All We Need, another one
Mm-hmm.
of your songs,
Mm-hmm.
to sort of say, you know what, this is something, this is positivity, this is a message, if you will,
Mm-hmm.
of love and unity that I think can be
Mm-hmm.
a benefit to others in these really challenging times.
Mm-hmm.
So, how do you see that working? Do you envision that that is the kind of almost balm that it can be in these really kind of tough times?
Oh, I'll say it this way: artists have a huge responsibility. I always state my claim when it comes to this perspective. Artists have such a responsibility. They're gifted to put music out that, in my opinion, that should change. How many songs are made to kind of give you an emotion to create babies? How many songs that are put out there to create, empowerment? How many songs that are put out there to create chaos?
Mm,
Let's be clear. There's so many things that artists are responsible for as individuals gifted to promote or to give out sound. When they give out sound, in my opinion, if the world is the way it is, what is our responsibility as artists. Do we, uh, you know, create more chaos through the information and the music that we put out, or should we be responsible for putting out positive energy sort of sounding songs? For me, I think we have a responsibility as artists, to put out music that's going to create a better thinking mechanism.
Mm,
Music is a huge contributor to some of the foolishness that we see in our world. I'm not
mm,
saying it's all responsible for it, but just imagine. I'm not saying it's not okay to be creative, but be responsible in your creativity.
mm.
You know, don't get out here and talk about so many different things that is illegal or that's disrespectful. I have a huge major problem with that. I don't know about anybody else, but for me, I think if we're going to be of the world, and if we're going to be of the world of artistry and creativity, that we should be a part on the side to create change and create different things that's going to help promote change and positivity. So, hope that answers your question. It's just our responsibility as artists to put those things out that's going to create it, not be a part of the problem.
I love that you said that. That is so cool. Yeah, I agree with you completely that
Mm.
we who are creative have an opportunity and maybe
Mm.
even a responsibility
Yes.
to make positive change, to get a message out that is going to be a net benefit to the world rather than a,
Yes.
rather than a net disadvantage or something like that. So I completely agree with you. And it's interesting to me because you are multi-talented. You have
Mm.
lots of different irons in the fire, as they
Mm.
say.
Mm.
And I imagine with some of the things that you've got going on, you've got, an album coming out, perhaps a
Mm.
fashion line, things like that.
Yep.
Will these themes and collaborations be in the same vein? And how are these projects going to reflect your own artistic evolution?
Yeah. So everything is going to push love. Everything is going to push peace. Everything is going to push positivity. I think it's my responsibility. I'm not sure about anybody else's responsibility. My gift and my calling on this earth is to make sure through the gifts that I'm blessed with, whether it be in fashion or whether it be in music, that it kind of gives that essence. It gives love. It gives positive. It gives peace. It creates it's change. It creates a different perspective. My hope is that that's everything that I'm trying to do in this world is, so when I go for a concert, I want to make sure that when I leave the concert or when I finish my set, that somebody be like, man, that's really good. I need to go home and do something completely different. I think it's our responsibility to do that. I'm not sure why I'm still stuck on that. But for me, it's my responsibility that in everything I do, that it holds those qualities. And if I am, the protagonist of those things, I think I am doing what I'm called to do. And I'm, called to make sure that I put those gifts out, back what was given to me. I was given peace. I was given love. I was given positivity. I want everybody to know that also.
I love that. I keep saying that, but that's really true.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's, to me, my one of my mottos in life is leave everything better than you found it. That is
Yeah.
one
That's
of the
good.
things that I'm trying to do in everything I do. And yet, as a creative person, as an entrepreneur, as a business person, whenever we're artists and we're out there creating, we don't live in a time where there are people who are just going to be our patrons and they're just going to pay us to be creative. So there are challenges that artists are facing. And I'm wondering what you believe are some of the biggest challenges that artists are facing today and
Mm.
how you overcome them in your own career.
Um, some of probably the biggest challenges that I believe artists um have a have a thing about is trying to stay relevant.
Mm,
Um, Music changes, tastes change, perspectives change. Um, I think I'm going out on a limb here when I say this, but sometimes artists are pushed in areas, where they're trying to make money.
mm,
And my perspective about it is, okay, so if you're being pushed in an area to make money and it's negative, why do you feel you need to compromise your integrity for a dollar? Um, I I understand and I get it. I kind of get it, but it goes against who you are as a person.
Hmm.
Um, how I navigate it is, and I have to stay true to who I am. A dollar bill is not going to is not going to navigate my decision for being positive or negative. It's I'm gonna be who I am, and I'm not going to allow anything or any person to derail me from what my perspective is. That's really, you know, I'm my own person. That's the advantage that independent artists have.
Hmm.
We have so many different areas that we could go in, and I'm choosing, positivity. So artists, be clear. You have the right to decide how that looks for you, and please don't compromise that for anything.
I feel like going amen because I mean that's really so much of it is sort of maintaining your integrity as you navigate your career, and especially younger artists coming up with
Mm,
social media, with
mm,
influencers and all of that. There is a push to go into places that may not be the greatest, and yet
mm,
we still have to be true to ourselves. Now, something that I'm very interested in
mm,
with you is that yes, you're talking about a message of positivity and
mm,
being uplifting,
mm,
but you also address serious issues in the
mm,
music that you're doing. So how
mm.
do you balance addressing those serious issues while still providing hope and inspiration to your listeners?
I go back to just being who you are. All of the things that I address in my music is who I actually authentically am. So, I love hard. I am a positive person. I do not like unrest around me. I love peace. Everything that my music represents is not a facade. Um, I'm a lovable guy. I'm not a bully. I'm kind of an introvert to some degree. I love to have fun. So everything that I put in the music is everything who I am. It's pretty easy to me, and it's a pretty easy equation. Just kind of be who you are, and out of those experiences that you feel, write your music, and I'm comfortable in that space.
Well, I had this next question and you just answered it. So I'm going to move on to my next question. I was like, yeah, we're talking about, you just said it. So never mind.
Yeah.
Um,
Yes.
so I don't, I honestly, this is one of these things where as a musician myself,
Mm-hmm.
when we create, when we perform, we are out, to me anyway, I think we're out to make a connection with our audience. We're out to find some part of their heart that can connect with ours.
Mm-hmm.
And yet when you're not live, it's through your music, or for you it's going to be your fashion line and all of these other
Mm-hmm.
things. But I
Mm-hmm.
guess the question that I have is, what legacy do you hope to leave through your music, and sort of what impact do you want to have on your audience?
Legacy and impact, both of them is all leans on positivity and all leans on like everything that he writes. I want that to be said. Everything that he writes had a level of positivity, and it had an essence of God in it. I want to make sure that people know, it is absolutely okay to be positive. If it's okay for you to walk away from a situation if it's not making you happy. If it's okay for you to have a perspective, but make sure that perspective is healthy. It's okay to love in a way that you're able to kind of get better at it, because no one knows how that is all the way. It's a process.
Mm,
Do your music. If it's with a healed heart, do it with a healed heart. But if it's with a heart that isn't so healed, make sure at the end at the end of it all that there is a resolve. Make sure you put out there information that's going to help somebody, and not just leave it open ended and let everybody be ratchet. It's a limit to all of that sort of stuff. Excuse me. Just make sure that my legacy and everything that I'm putting in the music, that it always stands out on the legs of positivity, peace, and love.
and mic drop. That was that was great. Oh,
Yeah.
Kenny, I'm so grateful that you took the time to talk
Thank
with
you.
me. This is so phenomenal. I would love it if you would tell me, and I know people learn differently, so all of these
Mhm,
links are going to be in the show notes as well. But if
mhm,
somebody wants to hear You're a Woman or Love
mhm,
is All We Need, if somebody wants to know more about the creative work that you're doing or the
mhm,
fashion line, what are the
mhm.
best ways to find you?
You can find me on Instagram at Kenny Wilkins. You can find me on Facebook at Kenny J Wilkins. I have another link there on Facebook with for Kenny J. You can find me on TikTok at Kenny J Wilkins, the number 7, and you can find me on my website. It's Kenny J Music, KennyJmusic.com. Sorry, KennyJmusic.com.
Awesome. And I'm going to put all of
Yeah.
that in the show notes so
Yes.
that it's out there, both now that you've heard it and
Yeah.
you can also click the show notes link if you're listening to this, because obviously you need to go right away to Spotify, and the link to You're a Woman is in the show notes also.
It is. Yep.
So we'll get you that. And that way, when you're listening to You're a Woman, you'll be able to hear these inspirational and aspirational lyrics and ideas from
Mhm.
Kenny J. Wilkins. Kenny, I'm so grateful that you took the time to be here. This is super fun. I have just two more questions, and I ask
Sure.
them of everybody who comes on the show. So the first question is, what is the thing that makes you get out of bed in the morning? And I don't just mean an alarm clock.
It's music. It's the sound. It's the birds chirping. It's sound. Sound gets me out of the bed every morning. I think about music when I wake up. That's the first thing that's on my mind when I wake up in the morning.
Oh, that's awesome.
Mhm, mhm.
I love that.
Yep.
I love that. Usually for me, it's my cat sitting on me going, meow, I'm hungry. So you
Yeah.
you have a much more
Mhm,
elegant answer than I do.
mhm, mhm, mhm,
And the last question is a silly little question that I ask everybody who comes on the show. And
mhm,
it is silly, I admit it, but I feel like it can yield some really profound answers. And
mhm.
the question is this: if you had an airplane that could skywrite anything for the whole world to see, what would you say?
Well, I'm glad you asked that, Miss O. That's okay. So I'm gonna go back to what you said earlier. Leave everything better than you left it.
I love that. That's the first time anybody's quoted me back to me on that. That's awesome. Kenny,
Yes.
I'm really, again, I'm really grateful you took the time to be here, and
Yes.
I love the song. I've listened to it a bunch of times, so this is
Thank you
really
so
cool.
much. Thank
Uh
you. I appreciate it.
it's absolutely my pleasure. And I can't wait to have you back on the show and talk about the fashion line and all the other amazing creative
Absolutely.
things you're doing.
Thank
That's
you
a
so
lot.
much.
You
Thank
are
you.
you are quite the Renaissance man doing all of these different things. That's awesome.
Oh, thank you so much.
Oh, it was my pleasure. So you're listening to the Creative Solutions Podcast. You have heard how Kenny J. Wilkins is using his creativity to come up with some of these solutions to some of the bigger problems that we're facing, problems of inequality, problems of not treating each other as well as we could. And he's addressing them through his music. So check out You're a Woman, check out Love is All We Need on Spotify. I'll put the links to both of those in the show notes. Until next time, this is Isolde Trachtenberg for the Creative Solutions Podcast, reminding you to be bold, be creative, and most of all, be kind. Thanks so much for joining me today. I really appreciate you being here. Please subscribe to the show if you're new, and it would mean the world to me if you told a friend about it. Today's episode was produced by Isolde Trachtenberg and is copyright 2024. As always, please remember this is for educational and entertainment purposes only. Past performance does not guarantee future results, although we can always hope.